Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Dark Horse Comics here, and we are back for a special stream today with our friends at YouNeek Studios. Very excited to be partnering with YouNeek Studios to bring you a new comics universe this year and in upcoming years. So first and foremost, my name is Kara. I work at Dark Horse. If you are not as familiar with our streams, we stream every Wednesday for New Comic Book Day, often featuring special guests in the comics community. This today is a special stream, no April Fools, even though it is April 1st. So thank you for joining us as we welcome guests Roye Okupe and Sunkanmi Akinboye from YouNeek Studios. With that, I would like to turn it over to Roye to say hi and a quick intro, if you would.
Hello, everybody. My name is Roye Okupe. Obviously, I can see that on the screen. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Obviously, we announced the Dark Horse partnership back in January, and we've been working hard to bring you guys so much amazing things. And we're gonna get a chance to show you some of that with Sunkanmi drawing live. So yeah, we're really excited to be here. So come with all your questions. No question is a stupid question unless it's a stupid question.
And then it's still fun.
Yeah. Jokes aside, yeah. Well, I mean, we want to make this as interactive as possible, and I know a lot of people had a lot of questions about different things. So please, we'd love to hear from you. And let's get it.
Yeah. Sunkanmi, would you like to give a quick intro of yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sunkanmi Akinboye, as it says on the screen. I'm the artist for YouNeek Studios. I've worked on several books for Roye. Done this for quite a few years, working together. I mainly work for him, and he's been my boss for so long. I think that line is a bit scrubbed now. He's my friend. So, well, I'm happy to. I believe this is probably one amazing opportunity that I didn't expect to come this year, and I'm happy it's here.
Well, thank you again, both of you, for joining us, especially since I know we're in very different time zones, and we won't keep everyone too late today. But as usual with Dark Horse streams, just so you know, those of you in the chat watching live, we'll anticipate this to be about an hour to an hour and a half long. So stick around. We have lots of interesting questions and topics to chat about, covering the whole YouNeek line. And Sunkanmi, as we've mentioned, is generously going to demonstrate drawing some unique characters as we get going here. Just a quick reminder, if you are watching live and you're in the chat, just drop your questions in the chat as we go along, and our moderators will collect those and pass them on so we can address them live on stream. As Roye said, no question is too silly. I encourage fun questions as well as serious ones. So feel free as we go. Chat rules, just be excellent to each other. Be cool, be polite. Yeah. And let's get into some chatting and drawing. Oh, and I do want to remind folks, we just had a panel with WonderCon at home. Live events, of course, are kind of on pause due to the pandemic, but most cons have some sort of virtual presence now. And WonderCon just happened virtually last weekend. And these two, plus Morby, did a panel at WonderCon at Home, which you can now watch on our YouTube channel. The whole recording is on there, and they talk more about the whole YouNeek line. So anything we don't cover today, check out that panel too. And that's about it for my intro spiel today. It's a short intro, so let us get into it, shall we? Sunkanmi, feel free, do your art thing whenever you like. And then I think we were going to start with showing you Malika first. And so with that in mind, Roye, can you maybe give us a bit of an intro about who and what YouNeek Studios is, and then we'll kind of get into the specific books like Malika.
Sure. So YouNeek Studios is a publishing and animation company I started 5 years ago to publish superhero and fantasy stories inspired by African history, culture, and mythology. For those that don't know, I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. And growing up, I fell in love with superheroes, fantasy stories, animation. And I always felt like it was a missed opportunity not telling those stories from the African perspective for a global audience. So yeah, fast forward to 2015, I started out with EXO, The Legend of Wally Williams, which was our first book that we launched with Kickstarter, and we've never looked back since then. And you know, this is a connected universe, but as much as it's a connected universe, there are singular stories within that universe. So EXO is one of the main lines. Malika is one of the main lines, and then the Windmaker is another of the main lines. So these are really like the pillars of the universe. And yeah, these stories all take place in different timelines. So for instance, Malika takes place in the 16th century, while EXO is more of our present story, which takes place in 2025. But yeah, it's really, really exciting stuff. And I can't wait for you guys to start to, you know, take a look at some of the Dark Horse editions and the new stuff we're going to be coming out with, you know, in the coming months and years. And like I said, it's really, really an exciting time. And we're here to blow you away. Hopefully.
We're so, I think you will. I'm already kind of blown away. I've gotten previews of the first 3 graphic novels that we're doing at least. And I'm really excited to get into the universe and just watch it expand and see all these stories intertwine. So Sunkanmi, can you tell folks a bit how you first became involved with YouNeek? How did you and Roye meet? How did this all come to be?
All right, that was around 2014. A mutual friend of ours, Ayoleba, he also runs an animation studio now. And he was one that came to me and said, look, I want to do a comic book. Another one. Everybody wants to do a comic book these days. So he said, no, this guy's legit, you know. And we got talking, and we never looked back ever since. So since 2014 till now, we've worked together consistently on all YouNeek books. I think I worked with him for like a year before I even met him face to face. Before he came to Nigeria to say, oh,
that's very true.
And we argue over and we fight over online and everything. And a year plus before we even saw face to face. And, you know, it's been great.
I'm going to expand on that story a little bit because one of the things that Sunkanmi was trying to say, talking about, oh, yeah, he's my boss. Like, Sunkanmi basically sometimes, like, you know, we were talking offline, like he takes martial arts classes, right? And it has gone to the point sometimes when he tells me, no, I don't want to do this. I'm like, you know what, Sunkanmi, whatever, just do whatever you want. But the reason I say that is because when I got into writing comics, I had never written anything before. So for me, my first book was really a very tough learning curve in learning how to write for comics, because it's not like writing for anything else. And Sunkanmi is somebody that actually, you know, sort of, I would say I learned a lot from him writing comics, because, you know, I can't even share some of the things that I sent to him with the first drafts, and how he had to come back to me and be like, dude, what is this? Like, this is ridiculous. 100 people on one panel. Like, you know, where do you think you are? But I say that to say that, you know, he's been someone that has been very valuable to what we've built over the years. I think he's worked on all but 2 books, which is saying a lot, because there's a lot of stuff. I can't talk about the books we're going to be coming out with Dark Horse, but there's a lot that we've done. And when people start to see his work, people are going to really see what he has brought to the table. So it's very exciting. And again, not just him. There's a lot of other people that have contributed to the YouNeek universe. He mentioned Ayodele Elegba, which is one of the, you know, premier people in the Nigerian comic book industry. He's hosted the Lagos Comic Con for, I think, 8 or 9 years in a row. So him and a lot of other people, Raphael Kazim, you know, Chima Kalu, Godwin Akpan, even Morbi, who did the pinup for, you know, this, the graphic for this, you know, are essential to where we are right now, and, you know, where we're going as well. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, yeah. Are you going to share your screen so you can start, or?
Yeah, we're gonna watch the master at work here.
Oh, the master, that's a good one.
Yeah. we all get a bit of imposter syndrome sometimes, right? But yeah, good call out to Roye on the art for the stream that we've been sharing as reminders throughout the week. Yeah, that pinup by Morby is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's so good that you know, my mom is obviously one of my biggest fans. You know, and she's I won't be surprised if she's on the chat now. But which is very embarrassing if she is. But my mom actually, when she saw that, she called me immediately and she shared her phone screen and she said, "Look, this is going to be my home screen for my phone for I don't know how long." And she's never done that. She's never commented on anything in terms of art. She's always talking about obviously how, you know, proud she is. But this was one of the first times she called me and said, I'm in my 60s now, and I know nothing about comics, but when I saw this, I was like, wow. So that's just it goes to show, like I said, the amount of talent that we're working with in bringing you guys, this unique line, and I'm really, really excited to see to show some more stuff in the future.
Yeah, that's a great point, I think, too, about how comics can reach different people. Like comics, people tend to think of one thing, I think, and one thing only when they hear comics, and that's superheroes and spandex and capes.
Right.
The big ones that they usually know. And Dark Horse, of course, does other things mostly. Hellboy is probably a big, well-known one. But that's what I like about YouNeek as well. The universe, it's has such potential to be so broad and appeal to so many different people. I mean, you had me with Malika. I mean, anything called Warrior Queen, like I'm into that, right? So there's something for everyone.
For the record, that's who I'm drawing right now.
Yes, I definitely can. You tell us a little bit about how you approach drawing Malika as you get started on that?
I try to work from the standpoint of understanding the character and how I want the character to be presented. Now, Malika is a warrior queen, so I have to avoid slinky, sexy Catwoman poses. I have to avoid those, but she's feminine, but she's a warrior queen. She has to be noble, even in battle. So in this case, I just decided to not go for something where she's just standing straight and trying to do something that, with a bit more mid-battle sort of thing.
Yeah, and just to expand a little bit more, and I love what you said, Kara, about the unique line, because for me, I love superheroes, but I love putting these characters in sort of these subgenres like, fantasy or sci-fi or urban fantasy, because for me, I feel like it just adds a different layer, to, that type of storytelling. And for, something like Malika, the title Warrior Queen is very intentional because it's a description for the character herself. One of the things that Malika struggles with almost throughout the first couple of volumes is the juxtaposition of warrior and queen, because those are two very, very distinct things. And they don't always align, right? When do I fight as opposed to when do I be diplomatic? When do I be aggressive as opposed to taking a step back and looking at things from a bird's eye view and seeing, okay, are my actions going to affect, more than my people? And these are some of the questions that Malika has to ask herself throughout, the early parts of defining who she is, in the book. So that internal struggle, juxtaposed with obviously all the stuff that you see in fantasy, whether it's dragons, the magical sword, or these epic fights, I think is what really brings out such an interesting character and story and plots that, I feel like there's a lot in there, but it's also a very human story at the end of the day, because a lot of us, we go through life trying to balance so many things. Am I a mother, or a wife? Am I, a mother or somebody who's running my business? And in essence, we are all those things. Life is about, trying to find the balance in that and how to be all those things in a way where we're still true to ourselves at the end of the day. So that a lot of that goes into the character of Malika, and as Sunkanmi said, even into each panel and each pose, because I feel like when you read the comic book, you'll be able to get that subtle subtext of that struggle and that balance and how she brings that to the pages.
Just makes me even more excited to get into Malika, honestly.
Yeah.
And we're also starting with Malika here today because that will be the first graphic
Yeah.
novel that Dark Horse is publishing this year,
Yeah.
with some really cool bonus materials as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Roy, do you actually want to talk a little bit about those bonus materials?
Yeah, it's one of the things I'm really excited about because, obviously with Dark Horse, we get to showcase these books and these stories, the ones that were already self-published, to a much, much larger audience. But at the same time, the people that have followed us on this journey get to see something new as well. So one of the things we're doing with Malika, obviously with the self-published versions for YouNeek Studios, there was initially a part 1 and a part 2. With the Dark Horse Volume 1, it's combining those two parts, but we're also throwing in 2 one-shots into that book, one of which is Malika Dragon Trials. And it's a one-shot that actually shows how Malika got to get her powers. It's something that, in part 1 and part 2 of the YouNeek versions was hinted about, but it wasn't really in the actual story. So I'm very excited for people to actually have that one-shot in that. And there's also the one-shot Windmaker, The Birth of the King. The Windmaker is a fan favorite character in the Malika series, and you finally get to see his origin story as well. So that one shot is included on there. And there's also a creator interview that I did expanding on some of the choices that I made throughout the chapters and throughout the book, saying, okay, this is why I chose to call Malika this. This is why, I chose to add the Windmaker to here. Or this is some of the things that inspired this scene or that scene as well. And there's also, on top of that, going to be some bonus art in terms of, a sketchbook in there as well. So we're getting over 330 pages in this Malika Volume 1, which is just amazing. And for anybody, new fans, old fans, people that are skeptical, people that have been on the fence, this is something that's going to be exciting for everyone. And again, I can't wait for people to actually see what we have in store for these new editions. And even something I forgot to mention is that we actually did relettered the entire book just to make things look a little more crisp and a little bit more I hate to use this word, sexy, in terms of the lettering as well, because we just felt like for this edition we really wanted to go all out and give people, old fans and new alike, what we feel like could be an amazing book for ages to come. This isn't something that you just read once. This is something that I feel like people can go back to and pass on to other people, and a story that people will be telling 10, 20 years in the future.
Excellent. Yeah, those bonus materials sound really exciting. I have to admit, I've been really curious about the dragons ever since I started seeing like promo art coming across my virtual desk. I don't have a real desk right now, but seeing things. this is as close as I come now. My little workstation here at home, of course. But I've been really intrigued by the dragons. And then when Philip, shout out to the editor on all things YouNeek at Dark Horse, Philip Simon, fantastic editor. He does lots of great series at Dark Horse. But
I was going to say something real quick about Philip, who's fantastic, by the way. But I'm sure Philip has been pulling out his hair because I email him almost every week now saying, hey, how about this new idea? How about we do this? And that's how we got to this, massive 330 page plus, book. But Philip is so amazing. He's so accommodating. Obviously, so much experience in the industry. And he just it's so great when you get to work with an editor with so much experience, because I was editing these books by myself, and I'm proud of the work that I've done. But to be able to work with him on these new Dark Horse editions and the new books that we're going to be bringing out in the future has been nothing short of fantastic. And again, it just goes to show, these books were already amazing, but with Dark Horse and the structure and all the resources that have been brought to the table, we're basically knocking it out of the park with these.
Yeah, Philip is fantastic. The bonus materials sound amazing. Sunkanmi, I don't mean to cut you off. Did you want to add something?
No, I just, when you said it, I say, yeah, that's a home run right there.
Yeah.
That's, I think, one of the things that Dark Horse too has kind of become known for over the years is producing really high quality deluxe editions of books. So I'm excited to see Malika and the others in the YouNeek line get this treatment in Dark Horse, from Dark Horse, and with all these materials. So you already have fans. YouNeek has fans who have been following your work for some time, and they've seen your previous editions and have fallen in love with these characters. So you're talking about all of this extra material that will appeal to longtime fans, as well as we're hoping to get a lot of new folks on board.
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah. Sunkanmi, can you tell us a bit about the costume and other accoutrements you've got going on there with Malika?
Okay. It's a little weird for me to talk while I'm drawing, so
oh yeah, no worries.
While I'm drawing. All right, so I wasn't involved in the initial character design for Malika, but since I've been working on the books, I feel like, you know, I have a sense of ownership with how she looks, and so she's Malika's, she had this empire that had a little bit of the North, a little bit of Benin involved in the design. So she has that whole turban thing going with the North. And then because as a character, am I allowed to talk about her background, Roy? Is that?
No, yeah,
okay.
let's play safe. Let's play it safe.
Okay, I'll play it safe. Let's give away everything. Right. So
we need people to buy the books. Don't give the story away.
Okay, so our martial training. I mean, at the time, the book is based on the concept where the borders that we have today didn't exist at the time. So we had caravans as far as Asia, you know, all that. So expect some of these influences to pop up in case you're looking at like, oh, you didn't really have this in Africa back then. I mean, some people seem to think that Africa just had some people in a bunch of raffia palm skirts run around with wooden arrows and stuff. That's so far from the truth. You know, so it has this magical sword. I mean, you talked about the dragons and about how you wanted to see more of the dragons. So this sword has something to do with the dragons. It's an integral part of our power as a warrior queen. I'm trying not to give away too much.
All right, let me know. I'll jump in. I'll jump in here. I know you. I can see your brain like really just literally struggling to figure out what to say. But no, I mean, so I'll say a couple of things. First of all, I want to shout out Godwin Akpan, who was the person that I worked with on the character design for Malika. And you know, what a lot of people may or may not know is that Malika is inspired by a real African queen called Queen Amina of Zaza, who was also actually a warrior queen, not just a queen, that existed in 16th century West Africa. So the base of her design is actually inspired, you know, by some of the, you know, the text and the things that, you know, I was able to research with Godwin at that time, you know, as well. So, you know, there's a lot of influences, like, you know, Sunkanmi said, from the northern part of Nigeria, which has people, the Hausa tribe. So there's a lot of influences from that, but obviously we wanted to make this character our own as well. You know, which is why, you know, you will see certain things, like obviously her sword has a dragon hilt. You know, I know there's a lot of stuff that people say about dragons and their origin, but what you must understand is that almost every part of the world has their own mythology about dragons. So in West Africa, there's actually a mythology based on the Ido Huedo, which they were called the rainbow serpents. You know, so there's a little bit of things that I pulled from there, you know, as well. And again, I don't want to take I can geek out about African mythology for the next 2 hours. So I'm going to try to just keep it as broad strokes. But that's where the whole dragon influence and her holding a sword that has a dragon hilt on there. And obviously the book explains a lot more than I'm saying right now. But all that to say is that, you know, everything or most things in the story, not just her outfits, but, you know, certain plot points, location, even the map that we have at the beginning of the book, it has its roots in something that's tied to African history or mythology. And that's very intentional because we want people to know that as much as this is fantasy, it has its roots in certain realities, you know, that people can actually go back now and do their research on and see, like Sunkanmi said, that, oh, wow, you know, we had things like castles and you know, and universities, you know, and technologies in the 15th and 16th century that were truly amazing, that we don't get to see the light of day in mainstream media. And that was one of the motivations, you know, behind creating YouNeek Studios, was to be able to show a different side of Africa that you don't get to see every day in whether it's animation, cartoons, comic books, and the likes.
I mean, I personally would be fine if you wanted to talk about African mythology all day. I'm really fascinated by that aspect
Right.
of these comics. And actually, can you, for those who may be newer to Malika, before we get like a deep dive into it, do you want to give kind of the basic synopsis, like the elevator pitch for it?
Sure. So Malika Warrior Queen it's a historical fantasy story that takes place in 15th century, and the story follows Malika, obviously, who tries to keep the peace in her ever-expanding empire. And with expansion comes cost. And for Malika, it's treachery, not just externally from a massive kingdom that wants to come in and invade her empire, but internally as well. So she has this dual struggle of trying to keep the peace on both ends of her empire, while at the same time coming into her own in terms of the divine power that she's inherited, you know, from her forefathers as well. So it's this juxtaposition of fantasy, as well as like this, you know, historical touch in terms of, okay, we're in 15th century West Africa, and then showing some of the turmoil that happened then, obviously within my own, you know, story, and then how does this warrior queen decide when does she want to be diplomatic versus when does she want to actually fight, and what are the costs of getting those decisions wrong or right, you know, at the same time. But along the way, in terms of geography and you know, the historical part of it, we get to, you know, see elements of actual historical kingdoms like the Songhai Empire, which is one of the largest empires that ever existed, not just in Africa, but in the world, as well as places like, you know, the Oyo Kingdom, which is something that inspired where the Windmaker comes from. Oyo is, you know, right now one of the, you know, most prominent, you know, states in Nigeria, as well too. So there's a lot of historical aspects in it, but it doesn't take away from the actual story, because everything that I try to do is character driven, because I feel like if you lose people when it comes to the character, no matter how well you do your world building or how well you have this massive, you know, whether it's dragons or, you know, epic battles, people are just not going to be, they're not going to be sold, they're not going to be invested. So it starts first and foremost with Malika and that duality of warrior and queen and the struggle that comes with that, as how she tries to basically save her empire from the impending doom of external and internal forces.
Would you, if people were unfamiliar with Malika, with YouNeek, and we were just trying to kind of compare it to another story or series, what do you think you would recommend folks? Like if you're fans of blank, you would like Malika.
I mean, I think obviously things like Lord of the Rings is something that I would say. Obviously, some elements of like, you know, Black Panther as well. Yeah, I think Lord of the Rings is really something that you know, even for me personally, was, you know, shaped me growing up. Like it was for me one of my first forays into massive fantasy storytelling, but also very character driven again. So yeah, I would say Lord of the Rings, Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know, the Black Panther, Stories like that I feel like are good baselines to say that, okay, if you enjoy any of this, you enjoy. But again, I don't mean to sound broad, because again, this is so character driven. If you love a good story, a good character driven story that involves humanity or people with larger than life powers, having basic human struggles, I think you would enjoy it as well, because I just love that juxtaposition of, here's this, warrior queen, and when she gets the power, someone with divine power, but she still struggles like everyday people. So that's something that really fascinates me, and a lot of influences are in her personal story as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not too generic to say something like Lord of the Rings or Avatar: The Last Airbender. I find it helps. Yeah, I worked in book retail for a very long time, and it just helps to have something to compare it to. If you like this, then try this. So I think that's always helpful to kind of point out. And as the chat has noticed, we've heard of Lord of the Rings. We do know what that's like. Also shout out, people are looking forward to the bonus materials and Malika. So those are going to be really exciting. I can't wait until this edition is released. It is, by the way, up for pre-order now. We will have it on the Dark Horse website very soon. It will be listed with Diamond and available through comic shops in April, later this month. Right now, though, you can pre-order it from bookstores too. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstores. Indiebound.org is a good website to help you find shops near you. So we always recommend to shop local if you can, but we also understand we're in the middle of a pandemic. So
yes, please. Yes, if you can support your local comic book stores and bookstores, that goes a long way. And a lot of people just overlook pre-orders sometimes, but please, if you can, do, because that it sends a good sign for buyers and for everybody in the market if we get a lot of pre-orders. So if you're a fan of YouNeek Studios or just curious and you have the ability to, so please do pre-order. It goes a long way.
Yeah. And you I think have some links up on your website too, right?
Yes.
Roye? Yeah.
Yes. If you go to YouNeek Studios and click the shop link, it takes you directly to the page for pre-order as well.
Roye's website, the YouNeek website, is very good. It's much more modern than the Dark Horse website.
I didn't say it. I didn't say that, you did. So
I know it. Believe me, I do. With love. We know. Things from Another World is our sister company. They're comics retailers, and their website has been updated. The main Dark Horse website will be eventually, but TFA came first. So that'll be a place where you can order Malika, pre-order it, pick it up when it's available, and they do ship all over the place. So that's another option if you don't have a comic shop near you. One thing I like to do on streams actually is ask our guests if both of you have any local shops that you would like to shout out or recommend to people.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, Maryland, Virginia, Alliance Comics is a great comic book store. I actually shot an interview for the Washington Post in the Alliance comic book shop. And they've been great just ever since day one. Like literally when I launched my first book, I think I just walked in the store and I said, hey, I have my comics, I don't have any distribution. Are you guys going to carry it? And they were very supportive. And since then, since that day, they've been carrying all the YouNeek books, and they're going to continue to carry the Dark Horse editions as well. So Alliance comic book shop in DC, Silver Spring. If you can, please do. And, also support Barnes and Nobles. They were also the first big major chain to support our books as well too. And they had it in different locations around the country. So I've always felt very grateful for that opportunity, because again, it's not like we were wildly known. They just took a chance because they believed in the product. So Barnes and Nobles, if you can't reach a comic book shop, and if you're in the DC area, Alliance, comic book shop. And also, Bulletproof Comics in New York. Hank Kwan has been a huge support. He's bought hundreds of YouNeek books over the last year. So if you're in the New York area, Bulletproof Comics is an amazing comic book shop. And Hank is such an amazing person and store owner. So please, check out those those stores if you can. I'm gonna shut up now.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Sunkanmi, did you want to call anybody out? I honestly don't know.
Stores in Lagos, Nigeria.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a little sad, but I don't know any.
Ordering online then.
Yes,
order. Online orders. But physical comic book stores, nah.
Yeah, I will say though, Sunkanmi, are you familiar with Terra Culture?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Terra Culture actually in the past they've carried out books. I'm not sure if how it's going to work with the Dark Horse editions, but if they still have any of the books, Terra Culture in Lagos, Nigeria, actually carries out books. So that, and they've been very, very supportive as well. So I'd like to shout them out.
Great. No, that's fantastic. Yeah, Dark Horse does have global distribution, of course. Yeah. We're through Diamond Comic Distributors for that side of things, and then also Penguin Random House for bookstores typically, but anybody can order through PRH. We'll have to look into that and make sure that it's widely available. The pandemic also has really caused some weird things with international shipping. So sometimes things may take a little longer for international orders, but
and I can tell you this, there's people all over the continent, and I'm just saying, not just Nigeria, South Africa, who have been begging me for international distribution, and not just, fans, but actually bookstore owners as well. So I think the closer we get, so if you're not in the US, and even people in the UK as well too, there's a strong fan base there. So I'm really happy. And I know that as the closer we get to obviously releasing in September with Malika and some of the other books, Yanu and EXO, the easier would be to put some of these people in touch with the right parties to be able to make sure they have their orders in, when these launch. So if you're not in the US, I haven't forgotten about you. We haven't forgotten about you. Trust me, we're working hard to make sure we get stuff out to you guys on time as well.
As much as shipping will allow.
Exactly. Yes.
That's another big thing with the UK in particular lately. Unfortunately, their ports have just been so backed up.
Yeah.
From the pandemic, and then also inclement weather and things like that. So that one's taken a bit longer. A good question from the chat, actually. Will these books be available on Dark Horse Digital? Do we have digital rights?
Yes.
We do. So yes. Yes, they will be. And our books are typically also available on other major platforms like Comixology, Isneo, all of those main digital comics platforms. You should be able to also get them there. But Dark Horse Digital is certainly the biggest and most reliable for all of our comics. Books, just so folks know, tend to be released on digital in the book market dates. So typically comic shops come first, because those come through Diamond Comic Distributors. That's kind of the date where we really emphasize online. You'll see us going nuts about Malika when it comes out in September at comic shops. And then about 2 weeks later, digital and bookstores is typically how those dates go.
Yeah, and if you're international as well, that would be another option. I know it's not a physical print, but at least you have something to be able to tide you over on if there's delays on that as well. Yeah.
No, great question, and a good reminder that yes, digital as well is a really good option. So I know I don't want to interrupt Sunkanmi too much while he is doing his thing, but man, it's amazing watching this come together. Thank you for demonstrating this.
Pleasure's mine.
Thanks for letting us kind of watch you while you work. I know it's maybe a little weird, but we appreciate it. The chat also appreciates it. Do you typically work in Photoshop? Is that your main tool?
No, I'm using Clip Studio.
Okay, Clip Studios. I have too many windows.
Okay.
Yeah, there we are. So you use Clip Studio Paint. I know that's becoming another pretty common tool for a lot of the comic artists we work with. Is that your primary tool, or do you also work with traditional tools sometimes?
Traditional tools, they're like my ex-girlfriend.
Okay, fair.
I got a new boo now. Sorry.
Oh my God.
I used to work with traditional. I mean, the first book I worked with Roye, the EXO book one.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was traditional.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. You actually hand drawn, scan it in, right?
Yeah, everything was hand drawn and scanned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit more time and effort, perhaps.
Yes.
I know we do still have, it just depends on the artist and depends on the book. We have Benjamin Dewey, for example, who works on the Beasts of Burden series right now, and he'll do just these amazing watercolors on his comics pages. But he did that for the last Beast of Burden series, and this upcoming series he is now coloring digitally because it got to be a bit too much. But it still looks beautiful. Yeah. We have somebody in the chat asking if Gary Frank has been an influence for you, Sunkanmi.
No, I mean, funny enough, my very first influence was David Mark or Kabuki.
Yeah.
At the time, I legit didn't even know how to draw women. Yeah, I mean, but I discovered that book, I was blown away. I mean, I'd seen the usual superhero comic books, tights and capes, exaggerated figures and all. He worked with, regular person. He was an assassin, so he didn't draw any exaggerated poses. Then he drew them a lot in a natural habitat, lying down, reading a book, walking down the street, mannerisms, and that really fascinated me. So David Mark is my first influence. Then Eduardo Risso for 100 Bullets.
Amazing.
Yeah, I could go on.
Well, David Mack. Go
as
ahead,
an artist, you get influenced by, like they're like seasonal. There's a season you person for a while, and then after a while you discover somebody else. You kind of move on. But you don't.
A new book. Like
yeah. No, but the good thing is each person leaves you with something, and I'm happy because each person has helped grow my artwork. From David Mark, I learned how to draw women. I learned proportions, all that. From Eduardo Risso, I learned lighting, and like that, I keep picking up little things from other people. Oh, I picked up how to draw hands from this person. I picked up how to draw this kind of superhero stuff from this person. I picked up, like that. So over time, I have a long list. I should not have a long list.
That's good though. You're always picking up more and looking at more new things. We're really fortunate to get to work with David Mack. He provides a lot of covers for us, especially. Kabuki that you mentioned, we have new paperback collections of that series coming out. Delayed by the pandemic, I think, but now I know new volumes are on the way. So you can see those at darkhorse.com. That's beautiful, beautiful David Mack work. You got another question from the chat, actually. Where do you look for visual references for Malika?
It's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I look all over. Drawing the comic book or not character design. For comic books, same way you said, how do you mirror it? Or those are like Lord of the Rings, like Malika. I look at characters like Lady Sif in Thor.
Nice.
Wonder Woman, definitely. Mostly between those two, funny enough. The rest, a bit too slinky for my taste. Okay, a Captain Marvel, maybe, sometimes.
Oh, yes.
Those are good choices.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense with the character of Malika. Let's see. So, Roye, this is the DC grandma watching with 6-year-old Ezra and 4-year-old Elle. They are the kids who built the EXO headquarters.
Oh, I remember. Oh, yeah. It's so amazing. I got an email, I think about a month ago, and I just saw this huge set that this kid had built. And it's like, oh, EXO is here, and then this is the airport, and this is the lab. I was just blown away. So I'm happy to have you guys on here. You know, they have been so huge in terms of just inspiration because they followed my journey almost, you know, since the beginning, and they've been very, very supportive of everything that I've done. So it's great to have you guys on the chat. You know, love that you're here, and please continue to support. It's an honor to have you here.
They want to know if there are going to be action figures in the future.
That's a good question. That is the plan. Hopefully, but we have to sell as many books as possible first. You know, I mean, yeah, we obviously would like to see, you know, not just Malika, but, you know, all the other characters in the YouNeek universe in all these different mediums, toys, merchandise, animation. But, you know, like I said, you know, you have to start from somewhere. For me, it starts with a great story, you know, then you write a great book, you know, then a great series. And then it's easier when you build a fan base around that to start expanding into so many different things. And that's why I'm so excited about this opportunity, this partnership with Dark Horse, because like I said, you know, it just gives me the resources to be able to focus on what I do best, which is create these characters, write these stories, and build this world, as opposed to trying to do everything by myself, which is what you know, apart from draw, as you can see, I can't even draw to save my life. It's funny when, you know, when I was worried that, you know, Sunkanmi was running late, I was like, I told him I'm going to have to bring out my pen and start drawing here and embarrass myself, you know, in front of everybody. But no, yeah, it's to me, the opportunity to be able to do this with Dark Horse is really, really exciting and a dream come true, honestly. Dark Horse is a company that I've followed for a very long time, very respectable people, very, very, you know, so creative, friendly company. And I really, really believe that this program is going to be really, really great. It's going to be huge, you know, starting September. And I can't wait for everybody else to see what we have in store. And then we can build on that and have all the action figures and all the stuff in the future. So exciting times.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? Is we're all working hard. We're bringing you things like this, these the WonderCon panel we just did, this stream today. We've got lots more cool stuff coming up. All the bonus materials that Roye is putting into this book for new and old fans, long time. But yeah, we're trying to make this as exciting for everybody as possible, and we really want to get the word out. So thank you all who are watching today and who have been following along for continuing to spread the word. And those pre-orders, like Roye mentioned, are super important. They really help us figure out how many to make. So that's a big part of the process. So thank you for pre-ordering from comic shops and bookstores. We're being asked any Comic-Con plans. So cons are kind of starting to come back online. I'll let you speak to this too on your part, Roye, but for Dark Horse at least, we will continue to do virtual conventions. We'll continue to do panels online like we have been doing. It'll probably be a little while yet before we are physically present at conventions again, though.
Yeah, I mean, I echo the same sentiments. It's, you know, it's unfortunate that obviously we can't be in person because you can't really replicate that interaction with fans. You know, when, you know, just, you know, not even just promoting the books, but getting to, that was one of the best parts for me for going to a con, is being able to just talk to people. Not necessarily just to sell merchandise, but just to hear people's thoughts about the characters and what they thought about, you know, the first book and what they hope to see in the next book. And even people that are just curious about the books and want to know more. So I do miss that. You know, I miss that side of things. But as soon as it's safe to, you know, to come out again in a responsible way, that's something that I'm really looking forward to. You know, so as soon as you guys let, you know, Dark Horse lets me know that there's an opportunity, I will be taking that, you know, to come out and interact with, you know, the fans, new and previous, old, whatever we want to call it, it right now. But yeah, to me, I you know, I'm happy we have a vaccine now. I'm happy with the way things are going. So hopefully sooner rather than later, we're all going to be able to come out again and just, because conventions are one of the, you know, the most, to me, it's one of the most amazing experiences, the coming together of people from different parts of the world. for one common goal is to, just share the love for comics and pop culture. And nothing can replace that. So hopefully, as soon as it's good to go, I'll be there.
I'll drop a link in the chat in a second here. We just updated our convention schedule, such as it is for the update here. This is a living document. It gets updated all the time conventions are still kind of figuring things out themselves. You probably saw that San Diego Comic-Con just announced their plans, which are going to take place around Thanksgiving weekend in the US. So that's November. We'll see how that goes. And if that comes to fruition, things are still kind of subject to change, but I'll post this link in the chat. And Roy, for you and for YouNeek, the ones that may come up next, which people can maybe keep in mind, are the American Library Association convention, and some other book market focused ones like that as well, which I really enjoy those shows. It's less about pop culture and more about books, of course, because it's librarians and teachers. But they're really, really fun shows to be at. And just, I think the material that's presented, YouNeek is a great fit for it. So
I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. And, one of the things that, because I've interacted with the book market on my own, one of the things that you find is that they're way more curious to see new things, because again, not that there's anything wrong with San Diego or New York Comic Con. These are great shows, and there's a lot of fans that are eager to see different type of things. But sometimes it's hard to get a voice in that sort of massive scale convention because there's just so much for people to explore. So it's not even people's fault. There's just so much stuff. But the ALAs and the book market ones, like, these are people actually coming out we want to see books. Like, okay, what is the next book that I need to order for, whether it's my spring catalog or summer. Those are really exciting too, to be a part of. So looking forward to those as well.
I think it's great to see comics and graphic novels, becoming more and more accepted in schools and libraries, like, as good literature, honestly, for lack of a better word, but just, better themes and how they can actually be used in classrooms or all sorts of things like that. We're getting some good questions in the chat too. So I want to make sure I keep up with these. Let's see. I like this question. Will we ever get a prequel Malika comic showing battles between the Azazians and the Songhai Empire?
That is an excellent question. How do I answer this question?
Sometimes I say wait and see for prequel.
No. Yeah, look, this is something that I've thought about a lot, and it's something that it's going to happen. When is the issue? But that's one of the I wouldn't say regret is a word that I don't want to use. It's not something that I regret, but it's something that I feel like I want to have another opportunity, because when I created the Malika series, like I said, the YouNeek versions, part 1 and part 2, there was a whole lot that I tried to put in there that I had to take out, because, again, like I said, I try to make my stories character focused. And if you do too much world building things, like, sometimes you can just lose people in the world and the characters don't get that shine. But now that people are getting more familiar with Malika, I do want a chance to go back and see and show people the genesis of the Azazian Empire and how it came to be. Because one of the things that you find out in the book early on, and is that Malika is actually called the Great Unifier, but we never see how she becomes that person, and that title comes with her, doing battle with the Songhai Empire before her rise to becoming the queen. And there's a little things that I touch here and there in the book, but it never goes into detail, because obviously this Malika story isn't just a story about the war with Songhai. But yes, all this to say, because I'm talking a lot now, because I'm getting excited. Anytime I start talking about a story, I want to just say everything, but I always have to try to control myself.
What it sounds like to me?
What?
We're getting one of those 100 people a panel pages, huh?
Exactly.
I can see that coming. Watch yourself, man.
Oh, that's another thing. Yeah. Trying to write a story like a battle scene is something that I never hold back on. And sometimes I feel like the artists that I work with, like Sunkanmi, they're just throwing rocks at me mentally when they see the script. But I always tell them, like, so sometimes Sunkanmi will send me a page on Slack, and it comes with like 10 angry faces. I'm like, but it looks so good. Like, how can you be angry at this? But then it tells me that, look, this took me 2 days to put together. But again, it's like, long story short, that is a very good question and something that I plan to do, but I just don't know when. But it's coming. Definitely, it's coming, because that is the side of Malika that I want people to see as well. So great question. Please, more of those. I love that.
I love that because I'm a total history and mythology nerd myself. So love that. Love that about the YouNeek books. In fact, maybe one day we'll just do a stream or something devoted to talking about that.
Yeah, I can talk a lot about that.
This actually, gosh, we're starting to see a lot more people speaking up in chat, which is awesome. Thank you so much for participating and sharing your thoughts and your questions. Greetings from France from one person. They're a big fan of YouNeek. Any updates about the Yanu animated series?
Yeah. Oh, that's another one where I have to zip my lips. I will say this though, there's progress being made. I'm sure my producer is probably going to watch this, if not now, later. So
yeah, we always have to be careful what we say.
But I will say this though, like we're at the point now where there are critical decisions to be made, and that's a good thing. That may sound like a bad thing, but that's a good thing. So we're trending in the right direction, and that is something that I'm excited for people to see, because, like I said, we want to make sure we're telling these stories in different mediums, but I always have to bring people back. The comics, the success of the comics is what actually allows us to go to the next mediums, whether it's animation or film and TV or video games. So your support for the comics is what has brought us this far, and your continued support is what is going to continue to give us leverage to go into these meetings, with whether it's streamers or producers, as well. So yeah, it's trending in the right direction. I should be able to give an update in the coming months. But please, don't forget that, the success of the comics is actually what makes us get more leverage in these discussions. So please continue to support, continue to pre-order. And thank you so much for supporting. That's another thing, that people that support internationally, like, my heart goes out to them, because of the shipping fees they have to pay sometimes. It just goes to show that, like I said, we create these stories as much as it's inspired by African history, culture, and mythology. We create it for a global audience, and we feel like everybody around the world can resonate with stories like Malika, Yanu, EXO, and some of the other ones we'll be coming out with. So thank you so much for your support. It means a lot. Thank you so much.
We've had this one's
I'm kind of done with this.
Yeah. Malika is complete. Shall we ask the chat, perhaps? Who would you like to see Sunkanmi draw next?
Please don't say me. Because he won't be friendly. Yeah. So just for people out there, there's EXO, there's Yanu, Windmaker, Fury from the EXO universe. So put it in the chat, and I know what I want him to draw, but I'm interested in seeing what people have to say. But again, I want to say something real quick. This is the first time I've actually seen Sunkanmi work live, and I just have to say it's amazing. It's so crazy, seeing it go from a sketch to this, as we've been talking, because usually I write the script and then I wait like a kid on Christmas Day, like just standing beside the tree waiting for the presents to be opened. Like literally, that's how I am every morning. Like every morning, one of the first things that I check is Slack. Is that have they sent me anything else? But to see this, being done live is so amazing, and it just turned out great. Like just seeing, like he said, like you can see the essence of the character, the warrior and the queen, the nobility, the strength, and all the forward thinking, and you can't touch my people, like all these things that Malika is, you can see in this image. So great work, Sunkanmi, as you.
Yeah, this is
thanks.
Very, very cool to see this come together. You're quick too. You are. We've had a few other live art streams, and everybody's different. Everybody's got different styles, and I'm always impressed by the speed at which people can work. So,
So
well,
coming more pages per week. Is that what that
No, that's trust me.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I draw really quick when I'm nervous. So
that makes sense. Makes sense. Well, hopefully we're all kind of relaxed now. We're a little ways into this. So far, we've had a vote for Windmaker as the next one to draw. I don't know.
Oh. Okay.
All right. Hey, don't forget to save. Hey, did you save that? I need to see you save.
Don't worry.
Okay.
It's not okay, fine.
Yeah, if you want to, another thing that has been done from our live art stream so far is if you want to share that later, Sunkanmi, on your social media, we can definitely repost that on the Dark Horse channels if you want to share the art and let people see the products, the fruits of your labor today.
Please do.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be doing that.
Let's see. We're starting to get a few more suggestions. Nadia is next.
Oh, that's interesting.
Maybe you have your pick here.
Nadia.
A few options.
But who's leading?
Malika's sister. That's why they're.
Malika is leading, right?
What?
So far we're even. So that's no help.
Just go with the Windmaker.
I should go with the Windmaker, yeah?
Yeah. I have veto power.
So what can you tell us about Windmaker then? We've been talking about Malika mostly so far.
Yeah. So okay, I'm not going to spoil the story for it's so hard because I know there's a lot of people on the chat that have read the Malika story, and there's people that have not read it. So I don't want to spoil it for people that haven't read it. But the Windmaker is he is from the kingdom of Atala, which is a neighboring kingdom to Azaz, and he's also a king as well. But he's one of the first people that actually came in contact with something that we call the Dragon Stones. So the Dragon Stones are essentially these artifacts that hold the power of the dragons in our universe. So we have elemental dragons in our universe. So one dragon can control wind, one water, one lightning, one fire, and then one ice and frost. So we have 5 dragons. So the Windstone was found by the Windmaker, and that's how he got his powers to manipulate the wind. But there was an invasion into Atala, and the Windmaker goes to Malika for help, and that's how his story and her story sort of starts. In the Malika volume, and I really cannot say too much about that because anything I say outside of that could ruin a potential huge story plot for people that are reading it for the first time. But this is one of my, I can't say one of my favorite characters because all of them are, you can see they are all my favorite characters. But one of the things I love about this is Windmaker is a character that Malika learned so much from. With the Windmaker, who is actually called King Bas of Atala, comes into Malika's life. He comes at a very crucial point. Like I said, Malika is dealing with treachery, not just outside of a kingdom, but inside as well. And he's sort of a sounding board that tries to get Malika to see things in a different way. Because in Azaz, Azaz has been a kingdom that has relied heavily on force and aggression in order to protect their empire. And the Windmaker comes in as somebody that shows another way to defend yourself or defend your people. So he brings this different opinion. Initially, there's this huge clash between them, but they actually learn from each other because you can't always be passive and you can't always be aggressive at the same time. And they sort of, the two of them find this middle ground that sort of launches the story in direction where they learn from each other. And eventually, things sort of spiral out of control. Okay, let me just, I'm enjoying myself too much. I'm gonna say that things spiral out of control because these two kingdoms sort of start to work together, and I will leave you guys to figure out how that ends up for all the surrounding kingdoms you know, at that point in time when things start to spiral out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really what push the story. That's really what sets up the story. For
between the lines there.
Yeah.
We've got wow, yeah, we've got some YouNeek fans in the chat. I love this. They're excited about Windmaker's African avatar. Okay, I can see that. This is also making me think of. Are you familiar with the Dragon Prince?
Oh yeah, one of my favorite shows.
Yeah. It makes me think of that too, in a good way. Just, you know, some similar themes. And I love that kind of storyline, that push and pull, and just the influence of African history and folklore is so cool. This is so cool to be a part of this in any way. So, question from chat: will we ever see the distant future of the YouNeek universe?
Oh man, that's another great question. Man, it's like, do we have mind readers in the chat? No, because that's another thing that you know, we pride ourselves, and one of the things I feel like really helps us in terms of the way I've been trying to tell stories is, like I said, there's different time periods. Like, you know, I always try to tell people, like, you know, it's like, you know, This Is Us, like, you know, the show, but on steroids. Like, you have story elements taking place in different time periods. So we have the prehistoric era, which is like 10,000 BC. Then we have the medieval era, which is like 15th century. Then we have the modern era, which is 2025. But something that I'm exploring now is really going into like the distant future, to really start telling stories in there. Because like I said, when you read EXO or Malika or Yanu, you can enjoy them for what they are. Like, there's no pressure to be able to understand, oh, what's going on in EXO's world or what's going on in Malika's world. You do get Easter eggs if you read all of them at the same time, and you can pick up on those things, but it's not required reading in the sense where it's like, if I don't read Malika, I'm not going to understand EXO. But at the same time, if you do read Malika, you're going to enjoy EXO more. So I try not to put pressure on people where it's, at least this early, to read everything. But I'll do it. I try to also reward people that go through the entire thing. But one of the things that you find is that these stories going on in different timelines send ripple effects back and forth. And that's one of the, I feel like, the most compelling part of the YouNeek universe, is that you can pick up a Malika book when you're reading that, and then read an EXO book and see the loose string that connects all of them. So there are plans in the future to actually take the stories like far beyond the modern era, and start to tell stories in that timeline, but obviously one at a time, you know, because that's something that, you know, you never want to look too far ahead that you forget where you are and ignore some of the stuff that's in front of you. But yeah, that's a good question, and the answer, like everything else, like people can see, I get long-winded. I should have just said yes, but the answer is yes. But yeah, the answer is yes. Sunkanmi, are you drawing the legendary Windmaker or the other one?
Am I allowed to draw the other one?
Yeah, well, you can draw the other one. That's fine. I will explain when you're done, but yeah, continue.
Sunkanmi, before we get too in depth on some of our other chat questions, which are great, I want to ask you some questions I love to ask artists. Which do you have any favorites within the YouNeek universe to draw? Favorite characters, favorite anything, and then also, do you have any least favorites? Anything you get a little tired of drawing? Maybe it's repetitive. Maybe Roye goes crazy.
Crowd scenes.
Okay. Roye is not gonna like this. Okay, my favorite to draw is Malika.
Of course. That was an obvious.
Of course. I mean, it's I don't know. Apart from I love a character, but I particularly like drawing women. Don't hear that the wrong way. But I'm more interested to draw than men. I know their figures are more dynamic.
True.
I mean, again, you draw an inverted pyramid, you're done. You know, it's got wide shoulders, slim hips. Hey, it's a guy. But a woman, I mean, her shape could give you all kinds of insights into kind of person she is. You know, so
that's true.
That makes it more interesting for me to draw Malika.
And your least favorite thing to draw?
That's why I talked for so long. I was hoping to avoid that part.
Let me know if I have to go because I need to know when I need to go and change some scripts before I send them to you.
Okay. Do I really have a least favorite?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I know you do.
I mean, I won't say least favorite. I just Roy, don't take this the wrong way. Okay.
Of course. Of course
All
not.
right. You're not gonna stop my paycheck, are you?
Go ahead. I can't do that now since we're on live. You know, there's nothing I can
It's
do.
EXO.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I draw him a lot. I draw him so well and all, but there's just always so much of him to draw. Yeah. I know.
No, that's why I brought it up, because I'm trying to reinforce, like, the intricacy is the issue. It's like, and I know we've had this conversation before, and that's why it's like it's funny to me, because I know exactly what you're talking about, because even you know, I'm not going to go into detail, but yeah, I know this suit is very intricate, but just look at it. It looks so cool. Look at that. Look at that, Sunkanmi. This is why you do stuff you don't like, because it looks like this.
Yeah, it just makes me take more time, and you know, that's why.
That's pretty similar to some other answers I've heard from artists. It's usually something that's like Victorian costumes or something like that, because there's just too much detail to them, or it's like bicycles or something. Just they get tired of drawing them, or they have too many parts or something like that. So I think that's fair. I think that's very fair.
I do too.
Not trying to get anybody in trouble here. So a good question from chat, actually, for Dark Horse. I'll touch on this as much as I can. It's nice to see us take control of representation of our own cultures. Is there going to be continued support for Indigenous cultures at Dark Horse? I very much hope so. I think YouNeek they presented such a full package that it was kind of a no-brainer for Dark Horse to enter this partnership, and I hope that YouNeek is kind of a springboard for Dark Horse to be able to do more like this.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're very excited to.
Can I add to that a little bit? I wanted to, and I know I've talked about, Dark Horse ad nauseum in terms of just how excited I am, but I want to make sure people understand that, one of the things that, and I know, this discussion started sometime early 2019. This is what people don't know, because obviously we saw last year a lot of big corporations, getting into support for, more, Black properties and storytelling and things like that. And we love that. That's great. But I always wanted to point out that, Dark Horse, took a chance when it wasn't as sexy to do it. And to me, that's really, like I said, one of the reasons why I always try with every chance I get to say this is such a great company. And I want to assure everybody the resources that have been put behind this are amazing. Kara and I email almost, sometimes almost every day. And she's been full support of everything we've been doing from the social and marketing aspect, very supportive, and I want to make sure people understand that, because sometimes people don't get to see the inner workings of how people bring these things to light and just how much work it takes to put out one comic book. And Dark Horse has committed to multiple graphic novels, from the YouNeek library. And, not enough can be said about that, so which is, again, I'm saying that, which is why I'm very excited. But I wanted to make sure that I, put that out there, that Dark Horse is very supportive from the highest points of Dark Horse. They're very supportive about this program. And I can't wait for people to see some of the things that we come up with, not just, with the titles we're launching, but going into next year as well. Very exciting. And it's a good time to be doing something like this. And people are going to be amazed.
We are definitely all in on this. Everybody's very excited about the whole project. We're working real hard to make sure that we get materials out to everybody like ALA, our
Yeah.
book distributors, everybody, to make sure that we really get YouNeek, the YouNeek universe in front of people. And we're just, I know my colleagues and I, shout out to Kate, who's PR. For this project, we're so excited to be part of it in any way, and we want to hook new folks and bring new folks into the fold. We know Roye already has lots of fans, and that's so great. And we hope that you'll help us spread the word, actually, and get more people into this. One day when we have conventions again, that will be fun, because then we can really like talk to people in person, like Roye was talking about. And I can't wait to see cosplayers of these characters.
Hopefully, I know that's great. And I also wanted
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. I'm sort of cosplaying a little bit. Just it's an EXO shirt, the one that you hate drawing, Sunkanmi. I say I'm cosplaying as EXO.
Oh, okay.
The character that you hate drawing, right? But
I was just messing
with you. Relax. But yeah, I'm sorry to this is sometimes we get very rowdy. But I wanted to just again shout out like from the top, like Dave Marshall, editor in chief. Like he was the one that I spoke to first about this, and like you said, he was just amazed and he wanted to do this. Philip, again, editor on these books, been so amazing. Even people like Matt in marketing, Mark. As well too, Kate is she's just super awesome, as well. So, again, like, a lot of people don't see all the stuff that goes on in the background. So I think it's important to tell people like just how much of a team that we actually have behind this, and, the great work that they're doing as well.
Well, we appreciate that. And, we love working with all of you. Roye is fantastic to work with too. This is not just us saying this. It's Roye, you've been doing everything on your own for so long. I mean, as you've said, you know kind of what it takes. And so it's a pleasure working with you and with all of your collaborators, because you kind of know the drill. And we get so many materials from you and everything kind of in the time that we needed, and lots of good ideas, and you're very cooperative. So we appreciate that a lot.
My pleasure.
I need to grab some more water. Let's see. I have lots of questions. We're also still getting great questions from the chat. Thank you, and please keep those coming. Can we expect someday to see Yanu crossing paths with the other characters from the universe?
Man, y'all are coming with some great questions. Okay, let me see. How do I answer this?
Can we say things without spoiling? That's the other question, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm going to plead the fifth on that one. So it's not a yes, it's not a no. Stay tuned. Yeah. Stay tuned.
That's something I have to say a lot.
Yeah, but that is a great question. That is a great question. And I think I've sort of answered it a little bit in some of the things that I've said about the universe and how things spill over from time to time. But I'll stop there. But it's a good question. It's a good question. And I wouldn't say no to that, but I won't say yes either.
It's a good lead in to one of the other questions I had for you all, to kind of help folks maybe who are newer to the YouNeek universe.
Yes, please. Yes.
Can you just tell us a little bit, like a brief synopsis of Yanu and EXO, since those are the next two books in our line?
Yeah. So Yanu is, how do I say this in the shortest possible way? It's more of a fantasy type of story, like without the anchors of historical elements that Malika has. But so it follows a teenage orphan girl who has lost her memory, and all of a sudden finds out that she has powers that rival the ancient deities of her people. But the problem is magic has been outlawed in this land, and as soon as her powers come to be, everybody essentially hates her. But the irony is that Yanu she's the one that actually holds the key to actually saving the entire world, her world, at that point in time. So it creates this very interesting dynamic where she's in exile, but she also is the only one that can save her people. And for me, the central thing that I'm trying the story I'm trying to tell with the Yanu is that each of us has one, no, I won't say one. Each of us has something special within us that that's all been deposited into us, and we owe that to the world to not only find it within ourselves, but reveal it to the world in a way that it helps others. And sometimes that involves helping people that don't necessarily like us or understand us or agree with us. It's our responsibility to bring those things out, because again, like I feel, one of the things that fascinated me, and I'm going to sort of switch tangent and I'll come back to it. And I want to talk specifically about why this type of storytelling is important to me, is early on when I was doing my research to come into writing comics and doing animation, I went and I started researching people, some of the companies that I love, like Disney and Marvel. And I found out that, Walt Disney, when he was working for somebody else, was told that he lacked imagination when he drew a flower or something for someone. And I can only imagine if Disney at that point in time had quit and said, well, this person told me I lack imagination. I'm probably not going to be a cartoonist or animator. Let me stop there. What would the world have been robbed of? You can, whatever you feel about Disney or the company or whatever the case may be, we can't deny that company coming from Disney has brought so many things that we love from our childhood even till now. So it goes back to, like, for me, looking at what is it that is inside me because of fear or because of not understanding it, that I'm robbing the world of by not taking a chance, taking a risk and putting myself out there. And that's one of the reasons why I started YouNeek Studios. It wasn't something that I went into thinking that, oh, it's going to be easy, it's going to be fun. I was terrified. I didn't know if it was going to work. I launched my first Kickstarter. I didn't know if I was even going to raise any money. But looking at where I am right now, I'm so happy I took that chance. And again, that's the essential story that I'm trying to tell with Yanu, that she has this power that's inside of her. She has to be able to overcome her fear, because at the end of the day, she's the only one that's in the position to save everybody around her. So that's for Yanu. EXO, on the other hand, is a sci-fi superhero epic that takes place in Lagos, Nigeria. And the story follows Wale, who finds this super suit that his father built for him. But the twist is that he actually hates his father, and he doesn't want anything to do with the suit until there's a terrorist attack in the city that forces him to become the hero he was always meant to be. And the thing that I love personally about Wale's story is the elements. We get to see all the great things that you would normally see in a superhero epic, like nice, cool action scenes, great set pieces and things like that. He has a cool suit, like we were talking about, that Sunkanmi hates drawing. But the core of the story is really about family and the relationship between the father and the son, and how the role forgiveness plays in all our lives. We've all been hurt one way or the other by family. You may not be a father, you may be a mother, but a sister, a cousin, whatever the case may be. And one thing that we all get to find out the easy way or the hard way is unforgiveness can sometimes be a chain that we are tied to that doesn't allow us the freedom to become the best version of ourselves. So Wale goes through that, it goes through all that process of not just, like, he can't be the hero he's meant to be until he deals with this internal struggle of forgiving his father and actually accepting the mantle that he has given to him as well. So for me, like I said, if you look at what I've said with Yanu and EXO, I try to make these stories very human at the base level, because we can sometimes get distracted by be distracted by the powers that these superheroes have and forget that they're actually human beings. So Wale struggles with unforgiveness, Yanu struggles with stubbornness and fear of, oh, am I going to be good enough? And these stories follow them on their journey to overcome those obstacles internally before they can become the hero that they're meant to be on the outside as well.
And that is what makes them so very interesting, I think. We have similar themes. If folks are familiar with the Black Hammer comics from Dark Horse, written by Jeff Lemire, with lots of artist collaborators, that whole series is very character focused, very character driven, and it's about what goes on in their lives outside of being a superhero.
Really, those are the best ones.
Yeah, really gives you a stronger connection, I think, with the characters. And all of these characters sound absolutely fascinating, and I am so excited as we continue. We have to wait until September, like it's so far away.
I know, right?
But and like I don't like to skip ahead too much most of the time.
Sure.
It helps me not reveal spoilers for one thing.
Yeah.
But I have read previews of each of the first three that we're doing with YouNeek, and God, so excited. Like I said, I could do a whole stream where I just have you talk about like the African history and mythology. So we are getting some more questions from the chat. Let me see. Oh, and just a time reminder, we're coming up on 1:30 Pacific. So we've been going for about an hour and a half here. I don't want to keep these guys for too long. So
I'm fine.
How much time do I have left?
We can wrap up whenever you like and whenever you need, because you, of course, are also in a much later time zone than I am.
Sunkanmi, you want to do 30 more minutes? Are you good with that?
I can keep going.
All right. Yeah, let's put it at 30 more minutes. If you're okay. Sorry, I forgot to ask.
No, that's good for me. And I assume if it's not for Gary, he'll let me know. But no, we're good. So just so y'all know in the chat, we've got about half an hour left. So please keep asking your questions. Thank you so much for all of the participation already. You guys have great questions. So yeah, we'll keep going for about another half hour. And for those who are just joining us, just a reminder, this recording of this stream will be available on our YouTube afterwards. So you can watch this on demand anytime and come back and watch it again and again, because I know you want to do that. So let's see, we have some more great questions. Got Yanu, we covered that one. Oh, this is a fun one that I thought I might throw in too. Who knows, we'll have to see. But with the YouNeek and Dark Horse collaboration, is there any chance to see crossovers like a Malika Hellboy story?
Oh my God. I'm not close to that. Obviously all the right things will have to fall in the right places, but just hearing that sounds amazing. So yeah, who knows?
it's always up to the creators and sometimes licensors. Of course, Dark Horse does all this creator-owned stuff. So Hellboy is owned by Mike Mignola. So maybe Hellboy has appeared in a few other things. Do you two have any kind of dream crossovers just in general? It doesn't have to be a Dark Horse character, but is there like a fanciful crossover you would like to see with YouNeek?
Avatar. The last Airbender. That's one of my favorite shows ever, and obviously I'm huge fans of Brian and Mike. That would be an interesting one. I can't say I don't already have stories lined up for them. So that's so terrible. But yeah, that'd be cool.
That's such a fun boy.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm so excited for what they have coming up. Obviously with the Avatar universe, coming up as well. So yeah, that would be one for me. That would be really, really amazing.
Yeah. They do. They have a lot going on. We're super privileged to be able to work with them and continue making Avatar comics and Korra as well.
Yes.
Lots more cool things to come. There's so much going on with Avatar right now that it's kind of slowed things down in terms of like getting announcements out. But there is more to come, so stay tuned, folks. Very exciting. Really happy for Mike and Brian that Avatar Studios has become a thing, a reality. So
we need. I think we need more Avatar, and we need it more and more, and we just needed to keep going on like Star Wars. That's what I've always felt from the moment I watched Avatar, and then obviously Korra, and then read some of the books. I'm like, this has to just go on. So yeah, I'm really excited that they actually have Avatar Studios, because it just shows that we're going to be getting a lot more in the future.
Yeah. For those who don't know, maybe, although I think we probably have a lot of Avatar and Korra fans in the stream I'm watching today, as usual, because we sort of launched Twitch actually with a Legend of Korra live readings series, which was really fun. The voice actors, Janet Varney and Seychelle Gabriel, were fantastic. And then we had like a whole crew join us for a couple more. So those are also on our YouTube to watch now if you'd like to go back and watch those maybe again. But yeah, that was really fun. And so we've had a lot of Avatar fans follow us along on Twitch since then. So thank you for continuing to come back. Hopefully we'll have some more things for you soon. You'll have to stay tuned. As I said, there's a lot going on right now. So
Yeah.
it's taken some time, but we'll get there. And we do have a lot more comics. For those who don't know, the Avatar comics and Korra comics continue the live or the animated series rather. So you get more stories. They're all canon. Brian and Mike are always involved with them, and
Yep.
they're really good. So you should check those out, comic shops and bookstores. Let's see, what else have we got from chat questions? Oh, this one is another fun one that I like to throw in myself. So thanks for opening the door. Just a fun question for the both of you. Do you have any favorite? This question is: do you have any favorite novelists? Are there any writers you enjoy or would recommend?
Man, I mean, I have, a lot of people that I not only, a fan of, but also recommend. Most of them are actually in the indie community. So a lot of people might not know them off the top. So someone like, Greg Anderson Elise, he writes a comic called Isnana, which is also steeped in African mythology, and more of a mythology of Anansi, the spider. So he's a great one. Robert Jeffrey, I think he's written Green Lantern for, DC Comics as well. He also has a self-published a comic called Mind to Avenge. Also a huge fan of him as well. Obviously Nettie, Nettie she's simply amazing. It's such a talented, writer, and somebody that I personally have looked up to. Obviously Nettie's Nigerian American, so there's a connection there. But she has just some of the most fantastic work that I've seen, not just in comics, but outside of comics as well. So Nettie. In terms of mainstream, Brian K. Vaughan is somebody, from his work on Saga, is just amazing as well. Let me see. I think for me, off the top of my head, I would say those are some of the. I'm blanking out now. There's probably tons more. But anytime I get asked this question, I just somehow I just freeze because I'm trying to remember so many people. Dwayne McDuffie, the late great Dwayne McDuffie, and his work I did with Milestone, just simply amazing. Even not just in comics, but in animation as well too. So those would be the ones I can remember for now.
It can be tough when you're put on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Sunkanmi? Do you have any favorite writers in any genre?
Well, in the comics, most artists, we tend to focus more on the artists.
Fair.
So, yeah. And if it wasn't right now, I'll probably be able to come up with a couple of names in the comic industry, but on the spot, I just found like I can't remember a single one from the comic industry.
What about artists? What about favorite artists?
But if it comes to novels, I'm a fan of fantasy novels, urban fantasy, sword and sorcery, of David Gemmell. Oh my God, David Gemmell. Brian Sanderson. I like the Butcher series. This is Wizards and urban fantasy. Crap, I can't remember the character's name. See,
it's very tough. Trust me. Yeah, this is a time you will forget everything. Trust me.
Yeah, well, I like these stories because as much as I'm a comic head, I mean, I love superheroes and all. I actually like stories that deal more with the human element and with magic, because it's easier to have certain limitations on your magic system than it is to have on somebody with superpowers.
That's true.
Yeah. Superpowers are flashy and all, but when you have a magic system, it makes for
Sunkanmi froze.
Oh, hopefully we'll get him reconnected here in a sec.
Yeah, but I mean, I get where he's going with that. With magic, there's a set of
more
rules.
interesting.
Hey, sorry, Sunkanmi, we lost you for a second there.
I think it's frozen again. Can you hear us?
Story, interesting character. So I love a lot of urban fantasy and fantasy novel cover that when we talk about wrestling. So, yeah.
I am also a big
Hello?
fan of fantasy
Yeah, we can hear you.
novels. Yeah, hi. Like some connection issues. If you need to reconnect, Sunkanmi, please feel free. We'll pick you back up. If you need to disconnect and reconnect, that's no problem. Okay. I'm not getting audio, but we can carry on. Oh, there we go. So technical difficulties. Thanks, folks. We'll get Sunkanmi back as soon as we can. He's already reconnecting. Yeah, so I also really do enjoy fantasy novels. Brandon Sanderson is one of my favorites too. I believe there's some more comics coming from that end of things in the near future. Unfortunately, not.
I'm so sorry about that.
No worries. We'll get
No
you
problem.
back on stream here with us in just a second.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary, for kind of handling our transitions here. When we get Sunkanmi back, I would love to hear more about the, maybe Roye can talk about the overall character design of what you're drawing now, and then maybe you can tell us kind of how you approach it, and we can, as we did with Malika, like what some of your visual references are.
Well, for Windmaker, who do I look at when I was drawing Windmaker?
Definitely not me.
Honestly, off the top of my head, I don't have a specific superhero I can say, oh, when I was to draw him, I look at this person, because I mean he's a staff-wielding superhero, and I don't think there are many of that, you know. So maybe for fight scenes, I check out Red Robin, you know, Nightwing, you know. But for the character in general, I just draw him. That's what I do. I just
Yeah.
draw him.
I mean, I can chime in a little bit on this one. So for the Windmaker, I personally wanted something that was like sort of like red, and the reason because it's that Windmaker and the Kingdom of Atala is inspired by Yoruba culture, and more specifically, some parts of it is taken from you know, the Ondo people in Nigeria. And a lot of their outfits have like this wine and red and beige, you know, in there. So I really wanted, in terms of the color scheme, I really wanted to get that, you know, in there. But overall, I love characters in hoods. I know I don't have a lot of them, but when I was creating the Windmaker, and I know obviously now Sunkanmi drew him down with his hood. So right now what I'm saying doesn't make any sense, but to me, I just love people like in hoods and cloaks. So that was one of the reasons why I gave him that overall, you know, look as well. And obviously because one of his power, well, his central power is, you know, manipulating wind and air. It just looks cool when his outfit is dancing in the wind. Hence the that overall the cloak and the flaps as well too. So yeah, pretty cool design, as you can see. I will say this though, and I'm going to try and say this without spoiling too much. There are two Windmakers. What Sunkanmi is drawing right now is the second one, and I will have to stop there for people that haven't read enough, because I don't want people to get confused when they read the Malika book and see another Windmaker, you know, in that as well. But yeah, it's a story element. It's a fun one as well too, and I can't wait for people to explore that and see, you know, the reason for having two of them in there as well.
I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this, and I understand about not spoiling things. It can be difficult, yeah. but we'll continue to skirt around whatever we need to. So Sunkanmi, drawing a like wind rippled cloak all the time. Have you gotten really good at drawing fabric, basically?
Yeah, okay. About that, funny enough, I looked at Thor a lot.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Oliver Coipel. I hope I pronounced that right. Olivia Coipel. Okay. If he's listening to this, I didn't get it right. I love your work. Please forgive me. I love Thor. So I tend to, anytime I want to draw flowing cloaks, capes, I open up Thor and I just, I go through stuff. Yeah. I'm sure people expected me to say Superman, but Thor.
Yeah, I mean, again, to add to that, the flowing thing is something that I'm obsessed with. Sometimes I have to actually stop myself. Even if you look at the back, like you will notice that there's a theme. Like these characters usually have like you can see with Malika, you can see with the Windmaker, you can see with some of the other characters. I just love it when cloth is dancing in the wind. Like I don't know why. It to me it just looks cool. And it's something that has stuck with me for, I don't even know where it comes from. But Sunkanmi can attest to this. Like anytime I have a scene with a character with cloth that's fighting, I always end it with, oh, and the cloth is dancing in the wind. And sometimes I even highlight it with yellow because it just looks so cool to me. It's like, when, the outfit is sort of like, having these dynamic attributes to them as well.
Ooh, we have a shipping question. Will Firefrost start dating EXO?
Oh yeah, you see, this is the problem. Like, for people that don't know, let me just bring this here. So this is Firefrost. I can't say too much again because I know there's a lot of people out there that have seen her. But for the people that are new to the YouNeek Universe, unfortunately, I can't answer that question. I just can't. I can't even skirt around it. So I would say wait and see. Continue to follow the YouNeek Universe. There's a lot of exciting things that we have coming up.
I love in-depth questions like this because it really shows how much people care and they're invested in you. You're reading and you're following along and you've been fans for a while. So thank you for being here today and also for giving us these really fun questions, even though we can't answer all of them. So another common question that we get and that the creators we host often get, and you've probably answered before, so thank you for your patience, but can you both tell folks a little bit about like any advice you have for those who would like to get started in comics?
Sunkanmi, you want to go first?
You go first.
So it's a hard one because there's so many different things that I can say. I think the first thing that I would say, whether you're coming in as a writer, editor, artist, just master your craft. A lot of what I did before, writing my first book was educating myself about how to be a good writer. Like I said, I didn't have a portfolio before any of this. And it's funny, one of the things that I actually tried to do when I first got into comics in 2014, I tried to actually hire writers to write the stories. So I pitched to a couple of different people. I think I was fighting above my weight because some of the people that I reached out to, now in hindsight, I'm like, this is just ridiculous trying to go after some of that. Because I went after some really, really high profile people. And I'm sure they were just like, who the hell is this guy? But I couldn't get anyone to write to write the story. So I had to learn how to write on my own. And I found out that I love writing. I love creating these characters and creating these stories and the backstories and world building and making, putting all these human elements into these characters. So for me, I spent a lot of time just learning how to write and also learning the business of comics, because I think that's so important for anybody that's getting in, especially if you're going to self-publish. Even if you're not going to self-publish, if you're going to go the traditional route, you have to understand the business of comics, how comics are made, not just from the arts, the artistic point of view, but from the business side of it. How much does it cost? How much do, writers get paid, artists get paid? Like, what are royalty structures like? How do you market comics? What is PR? How am I actually going to sell this? What's my hook? What's my elevator pitch? What's the log line? Do I have to do samples? Do I go through Kickstarter or do I try to raise money? Do I get an investor? Like I said, these are all things that I spent so much time researching, just how to run a business. And in the moment, it was very difficult and very painful, but I'm so happy because it's paying fruits now. Like even working with a company like Dark Horse, when I'm in the room talking about these different things, You guys don't have to, explain so much to me. It's like, oh, I understand. Okay, I understand why we have to do this. And it just helps everybody when you're educated on, you don't have to know everything, but if you know enough about different things, it lends itself to you just even building your confidence. So I'll say master your craft, number one, and learn about the business of comics, as well. And humility also goes a long way. Being humble enough to know that I don't know everything. And one of the things that I love about, Sunkanmi is a consistent learner. Like, he loves to learn. He's so great at what he does. And sometimes he tells me, oh, I was studying this guy. And I'm like, really? You're still trying to learn? But that is just something, and I have that as well. I try to always continue to educate myself. So humility in knowing you don't know everything. And the last thing I'll say is surrounding yourself with a team. Nobody can do this all by themselves. Like I said, even though I try to do a lot, I didn't do the art. And art is a huge part of making comics. So that was one thing that I knew that, look, this is something that I can do. Let me partner with people that are excellent at this. And, teamwork and making sure people understand that they're bringing something to the table and not dictating everything and saying it has to be this way. Be open to other people's perspectives, other people's, backgrounds, and what it is that can bring to the table. Because at the end of the day, I feel like the best stories are when people bring something from their individual walks of lives, and everybody finds a way to, in a cohesive way, put that into the story, into the characters, and everything blossoms from there.
Excellent advice.
Yeah, I mean, what advice would I give people trying to break into this? I would probably speak more to those who are trying to break into the arts section of it. As an artist, it's really important that you are disciplined in what you do. Same thing Roy said, you need to master your craft. Don't be the person who skips hands because you can't be bothered. So you always try to draw something that makes you avoid what you don't like or what you don't know. So you need to master your craft. Then you need to be, like I said, discipline is key, because most people started this thing out of passion. Mm-hmm. But if you have a lot of passion, you just love to draw, but you're not disciplined, you will never go far in business. There's one thing to draw for yourself and draw when you feel like drawing, but it's another thing to draw for a publisher and draw in time and deliver pages and deliver artwork and pin-ups. And you have to work on your bad days as much as work on your good days. And that's something a lot of young artists don't quite get. You start with passion, but if you really want to go straight into business, you want to do this as a business, then you need to discipline yourself. You need to find that strength, and you need to be humble about it, because you have to keep learning. Like Roy said, Roy thinks I'm this really amazing artist, and
because you are.
I tend to disagree because you don't know how much I wing it, and I just hope for the best sometimes, So yeah, you have to keep learning. You have to be humble enough to understand that you don't know it all. Even when Roy came to me and we started working together, I keep talking about how much he learned from me. The truth is, a lot of times, I have to tell myself to take a chill pill. I definitely don't know it all. I don't care how many years I've been working in this business. There's no statute or limitation on great ideas. It's not based on how long you've been in the business. So I had to tell myself a lot of times to take a chill pill and see his point of view and, try out what he's saying. He has an idea. He looks stupid or he sounds stupid. I have so much experience, so to speak. Yeah, no, I'm trying to be honest. You get that feeling. You're so good at what you do. You don't listen to your clients. Don't be that guy.
That's true.
The great ideas. You don't have all the great ideas. So yeah, that's what
Sunkanmi, if it makes you feel better, I'm winging the scripts too. I'm telling you, I've been doing that for 5 years. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. Like, as much as you can educate yourself, like at some point in time, we all have imposter syndrome. And for me, it was one of the most difficult things to deal with. I don't know it all. And sometimes, I write a script and I'm like, this is crap. And what happens then? I just take a break and then I go back and I try again. And if it's not good enough, then I try again until I feel like it's at the point where I can share with others. But, aside from a few prodigies in this industry, a lot of people go through the same thing. And you're not the only one. If you feel like, man, I don't belong here, or, there's no way I can, write a comic or draw a comic, just know that most of the people that you look up to, they've been there. Some of them might still be there. I know I am. I know sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough. But I think a lot of what life is really about, how you respond to adversity. That's how life, that's just what life is. So it's not that it's not going to come. It's going to come, and it's like, how do you deal with it? So yeah.
Excellent advice all around. I know, as I said, we tend to get questions like that a lot, and thank you to these two for providing perspective from those who are doing it right now. So if you're curious about getting into comics yourselves, you heard it here, folks. This is how they've managed it, and they're doing an excellent job, even though we do all deal with imposter syndrome from time to time. So just a time update. We're kind of starting to come up on 2 o'clock or 2 p.m. my time anyway. So we've been going for almost 2 hours here. I'm going to say if you have additional questions, folks, please feel free to ask final questions in the chat while we're starting to wrap up. It looks like we're getting close. Yeah, we're so Sunkanmi has timed it perfectly. And you say you don't think you're that good. Look at that. So we now have Malika and we have the Windmaker. These characters, if you can post them on your social media later, I know we'd love to see them, and Dark Horse will definitely share them. If anybody at home is doing fan art of the YouNeek characters, I would love to see that as well.
Me too.
So you can post that anytime on your social media. Just tag Dark Horse or YouNeek. We're at Dark Horse Comics across all the major channels: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we'll see and share your posts if we can. Thank you everybody for joining us today, and for all the great questions. To Roye and Sunkanmi for joining me to talk about all things YouNeek and the partnership with Dark Horse. Somebody did just ask in the chat, and I did have to say that unfortunately, no, they're not out yet. Our books are coming up later this year, starting in September. So you can pre-order Malika and Yanu, and actually EXO. They're all up for pre-order on Penguin Random House right now. Roye, do you want to say any final things about those 3 editions? I think we've had some folks join, so maybe reiterating like the bonus materials and things like that.
Yeah. So like I said earlier on, really excited about these Dark Horse editions. So for people that have read the previous YouNeek editions, we're really adding a lot of bonuses, and we're talking about one-shots, talking about sketchbooks, interviews with me in the book. Like I said, Malika Volume 1, the Dark Horse edition itself is over 330 pages. It doesn't get any better than that. It's epic. It has 2 one-shots in there. EXO is the same thing. I think that's so close to 300 pages as well, because that has a bonus one-shot story in that as well, including a sketchbook and an interview with me. Yanu has, additional, it doesn't have a one-shot, but it has additional bonuses with a sketchbook. And there's something that I did in Yanu that I've never done in any book. It's called Creator's Corner. And what I do is that I go deeper in depth into the mythology of the world, of the YouNeek universe, and how it affects specifically Yanu in that book. So you're going to get an additional story, in form of, it's sort of like prose in that as well. So it's something I'm really excited to add to that as well. But again, I wanted to reiterate that, a lot of times people hear pre-order and it's like, oh, I'll just wait. Pre-orders help a lot. So please, if you have the ability to do so, pre-order these books, because like I said, it just shows that, you guys actually want this book, and it sends a signal to bookstores and comic shops and the different buyers, the more pre-orders they have, to be able to pre-order more. So I have all the confidence in the world, because again, I know, the fans have, YouNeek fans have been the people that have brought us to this point, and YouNeek fans and the new YouNeek fans are going to come in, with this Dark Horse edition, is really going to take us to another level. So really, really excited. And I wanted to just take a moment to also thank Sunkanmi Like I said, Sunkanmi has been somebody that's worked with me since day one. He's been an excellent, not just artist, but friend. And somebody that has just done excellent work. Like if you look at, like I said, he's worked on all but two volumes of the YouNeek Youniverse books. And, like I said, we have a 10-book deal with Dark Horse. So 85% of the books he's worked on that. So I wanted to just take a moment to honor him and just let people know that, it takes a lot to bring this out to you. And then all the other artists as well, Tony Agentumobi, Morbi, Chima Kalu, Ayodele Elegba, Godwin Akpan, Tarela Pablo, Etubi Onicheyu. These are people that have all in their own way added something to the YouNeek Youniverse. So their names need to be mentioned because of the great work that they've brought into this point. And I can't wait for everybody to see it. And I thank you so much to the fans. I know sometimes it sounds cliche, but I am a testimony. This is a testament of how a fan base can bring something like this to reality. I am here because of the fans that have supported me, not just because of my talent or the talent of the artist. Like, people have supported this, and it has gotten to the radar of Dark Horse, and now it's going to get to a larger fan base. So please continue to support. I will continue to work hard to make sure these stories are excellent, authentic, and something that continues to inspire a global audience.
Thank you very much, Roy, for joining us today, for having this chat. Thank you again to the fans. As he was saying, thank you to those who joined us today for the stream. Thank you so much, Sunkanmi, for also sharing your art with us today. It's a pleasure to get to watch you at work, and you've done a fantastic job. It's a pleasure to have both of you with us today, and to hear from you both about this whole line of really exciting, unique characters coming up. Again, those who are watching in the chat, if you would like more info about any of these characters and any of these books, we've been dropping the links in the chat as we go. It's an easy jump to darkhorse.com. And we have the pre-order links available. You'll see them listed more and more later this month when they become available through Diamond as well for comic shops. So stay tuned for more info. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us today. I think we are going to wrap it up here. So I will say farewell, and hopefully Roy and Sunkanmi, you can join us again for a panel in the future. I would love to see you again.
Hopefully, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, anytime.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Who are you?
I'm Harry Vanderspiegel. I'm a doctor. You don't have anything to worry about. I'm not an alien.
All right, look, that's one creepy son of a bitch, right?
It's okay for people to be a little bit different sometimes.
This is some bullshit.